Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
I have a friend in Jesus.
Do you want to die, Sydney? Your mother sure didn't.
Fuck you, you creep. Please don't.
Jesus wept.
Tell the sheriff I shot him.
I got plans for you. I'm gonna slit your eyelids in half so you don't blink when I stab you in the face.
You don't know what death is.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Blood.
Gut and B-movie trash talk.
You're listening to Blood, Guts, and B-movie trash talk, and this is your host Trevor, and this is episode 2. I have my co-host here, Steve. How you doing, Steve?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad. Doing all right. Hey, this episode, like I said, is number 2. We're reviewing Neon Maniacs.
We got a special guest.
Yes.
He's the host of the Alex Dew Show. His name is Alex Dew.
Hello!
Hey, how you doing, Alex?
I'm good, how are you?
Pretty good. Not too shabby. You a horror movie fan, Alex?
Oh, absolutely. Seen a lot of shitty movies.
Don't tap your feet on the table, it's holding the mic.
Oh yeah, that's a bad idea. I won't do that any longer. I apologize.
Please continue, Alex.
Yes.
Yeah. Big Halloween fan.
Nice. What are your favorite kind of horror movies?
Either they're going to actually scare me, or they're going to be so silly that I can enjoy myself and laugh.
I'd say, I don't know, overall, do you like shitty movies, shitty horror movies? Do you like something that scares you? Do you like slasher movies, monster movies? What would you say is your favorite? Or whatever you watch the most? I don't know.
Overall, slasher movies, because you get a blend of everything in there, and as long as you have somebody to watch them with, even if it's the shittiest thing, you're probably going to enjoy yourself with laughter.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way. I don't know. I like all different types of movies, but when it comes to horror, as long as it entertains me, I'm happy. I'm sure Steve can agree there.
You
That's
have to
right.
go in with a pretty low bar sometimes.
Oh, definitely. As we did recently with Final Exam there. Just a little recap. I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to listen to the last podcast there, but we reviewed Final Exam, and I'm just going to throw this out here right away. Final Exam definitely made Neon Maniacs look like a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm. It did have a $1,500,000 budget. I'm not good at math, but Alex...
Did you do the math? $60,000 was the budget on
Yes.
it's easily 250 times as big.
There you are.
I think all their money went towards that good old terrorist scene, which was not the best part of the movie, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't want to get back into that. We definitely touched base on that for about 40 minutes last episode. But we are reviewing Neon Maniacs, 1986, like Steve said.
Directed by Joseph Mangina? Mangine?
I don't know, but I'm just going to call him Joseph Mangina. Actually a decent fellow. Been a decent and successful DP in the horror genre.
Fuck her right in the pussy!
DP. No, but for all you who do not know what DPs are, they're directors of photography, or for better, I guess you could call them cinematographers. But anyways, he's been a cinematographer, not only Neon Maniacs, which was quite interesting. He not only directed it, but he also did the cinematography. He was also in I Drink Your Blood.
Classy name.
Not bad. I think it was a lost film. Really hard to find, but it's kind of like a little grindhousey film. I recommend watching it. It's gory, fun. Also, Squirm. I've read a lot about this. I really want to watch it, but I can't find a decent copy. Have you heard of Squirm, Steve?
Mm-mm.
How about you, Alex?
I've not even heard of it.
Basically what happens in Squirm is there's this rainstorm and lightning bolt crashes the ground and turns these earthworms into flesh-eating monsters.
Big ones?
No, they're still small, but they just eat people.
It's dangerous.
Mother's Day is another one. You heard of Mother's Day?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
He was the director of that?
No, he didn't direct it. He just did the cinematography for it. And some of the camera work. He also did Alone in the Dark. One of my favorite directors, or not directors, but actors. I can't remember. Steve, maybe you can refresh my memory.
You said one of your favorite actors. I don't.
Oh, he was in Halloween. Initials S.L. Loomis.
Oh, okay.
He's in that Alone in the Dark, so I highly recommend watching it.
I haven't seen that.
Stumped you guys
I
there.
don't know what you're talking
Donald
about.
Pleasance.
Yeah, Donald.
I was gonna throw that out,
Well,
but then you sounded
If
like
you
you
said
knew.
if you said something like what's that movie with Snake and he's got that ridiculous ploy to fly the plane over and
Oh, Samuel L. Jackson. What? Are you talking about snakes on a plane?
no with Snake
Oh, Snake?
Escape from New York.
Oh, okay.
If you would have
Gotcha,
said that, I'm
gotcha.
like, oh, Donald Pleasance. But you're like, he's in Nightcrawlers and Beaverman 2. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, but I highly recommend it because, I don't know, Alone in the Dark is pretty good. And then Alligator. Never seen it. It looks great.
Do you think it's anything like the one with Robert Englund?
I don't know.
Someone called
Eaten
Eaten
Alive.
Alive.
Toby Hooper. Great movie. I like that movie. But I don't know. I'd really want to check that out. Direction-wise, Joseph Mangine, Mangine, whatever you want to call. He's only directed 2 films out of all of his cinematography work. He did Neon Maniacs, which we're going to be reviewing. He actually did not write Neon Maniacs, but I'm not sure. I didn't get the information on the writer.
No, I just didn't bother even writing the name down. But this is starring Leolani Sorrell and Alan Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah. Looks like Leolani Sorrell's actually done a little something with her life, it seems.
Like what?
She's been in a lot of TV, but a lot of people will notice her from Basic Instinct.
Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder she's also in, yes, and definitely doing well in TV. Yeah, she's, I'd say, the gem of this film. She's gone on to do something with her life. But let's get back to Neon Maniacs here.
Maybe you want to give us some sort of rundown. Like, suppose if you could cram the whole movie into a paragraph size that might fit conveniently on the back of the box. What would you say?
Oh, that's a good idea. Let's see what I can come up with here.
Let me ruin your evening.
In the heart of San Francisco, the legions of the damned lay waiting beneath the Golden Gate Bridge. As the night falls, this battalion of butchery is unleashed upon the city to carve terror into the souls of the innocent. But when one young woman named Natalie escapes a bloody teen slaughter, she can't convince anyone that a rampaging army of psychotic monsters has mutilated her friends. Now hunted, and having a hard time in high school, Natalie must arm herself and her classmates for one final bizarre battle against the horror of the Neon Maniacs. So yes, that's what we're going to be discussing today. The film opens up with this. When the world is ruled by violence and the souls of mankind fades, the children's path shall be darkened by the shadow of the Neon Maniacs.
Yeah, I felt like it summed up the whole movie.
I just want to know where Neon Maniacs comes from.
I expected them to be more neon. Their
Yeah.
blood is... No, I'm sorry.
Gook.
Their gook is neon.
Yeah, but a lot of them still bleed blood. I don't know where this goop comes from. Other than the goop.
I was certain it was going to be explained better.
Yeah.
And I was also certain they were in league with the police, or at least some of them.
Yeah.
Because they were kind of vigilante-ish.
Yeah.
So they
made a bunch of Neon Maniac trading cards I saw at the beginning.
Yes, the tarot-esque like cards of mutated freaks. These 12
Looks like we all have that written down.
Yeah, these 12, I counted 12. You count 12? 12
Okay.
Neon Maniacs?
I don't count.
Okay.
Also did not count.
You did not count. Okay. Well, hopefully I'm right. I believe there's 12. They kind of remind me of like retarded Cenobites.
Dude, I was thinking
From
that when I
Hellraiser.
saw the guy that's on the cover. I have in my notes here. Just have to give me a minute.
Oh, no problem. But yeah, they definitely remind me, especially the guy with the noose. He hobbles around and he's just... He has that noose and he just looks like one of the Cenobites from Hellraiser.
I have it written here. Water is a beast that looks very much like the Chattermouth Cenobite from Hellraiser.
Yes, exactly.
I did not even think Cenobites, but
He's less in shape.
I was terrified at the beginning. By the end, I was thinking Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah. the way they're introduced, it opens up with this fisherman finishing a nice early morning. Was it night or early morning? What would you say? It could be either or. I don't know. You really don't know.
It's
but
inconsequential.
Yes, exactly. But he finishes up
Incidental.
his fishing and finds these tarot-esque cards tightly placed within a cattle skull underneath the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah,
Right by this metal door.
that is boss.
He then pulls them out, and they're just ridiculous, like drawings of these monsters. And he goes through all of them before he's conveniently killed with an axe.
They're kind of like something you'd get in with the bubblegum packs
Oh
a
yeah,
long time ago. But these were so big you'd have to get them in like a
tarot
symphony
cards.
bar pack, Willy Wonka sized, like on the movie golden ticket pack.
yeah. Was that the Axe Maniac that killed the fisherman?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think
it
so.
was an axe.
I don't know. You guys have any names for these individuals? I've come up with some
There's
clever
the
ones.
samurai guy.
The one with the noose, that I called him the Hangman,
Hangman, gotcha.
and the Dr. Mutant. That was
Oh
very
yes.
creative.
One thing I liked about this, and I hate to compare and to jump back to Final Exam, but the characters, I actually know all their names.
Yeah, I remember Natalie's name.
Yeah, it was so.
And that one guy named Steve. We have
Yeah.
the same name.
Steven, Natalie, and I think Paula are the three top characters here.
Paula, who is the Corey Feldman from the Friday the 13th squirrely girl of the bunch.
Yeah. Natalie's the main character, the virgin. Mm-hmm. I'd say it's clear that
Well,
she's
they
a
also
virgin.
call that out.
Yes, it's very clear.
And you also might have noticed by all of her friends getting down to Pound Town in the park, and she's just watching from the van.
Touching base on that, I liked how she was introduced. So it comes in saying happy birthday to Natalie, so you know exactly who she is, and they don't use crappy ass dialogue to try to get her introduced.
I agree.
That was clever. I like that. There's not a ton of dialogue in this. I like that, especially compared to Final Exam. The
You
exposition
touched
was
on that. Exposition.
Well, yeah,
on the
in
last
the
episode.
final exam, there's just a bunch of just a bunch of plot dumps.
Yeah.
They just show up and they're like, "Oh, did you hear about the last guy? He got killed 2 towns over."
This is a lot better.
Info
It's-
dump.
Info dump.
Ha.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we used. This isn't the most cleverly written movie ever made, but it's definitely written a lot better.
You just want to see where they're going.
Yeah.
It sucked me in. Those were some awesome villains to start the movie.
They're a
Yeah.
ragtag bunch. They
Yeah.
probably they're Motley Crue. Exactly. They were a Motley Crue.
Yeah, Joseph did a great job trying to branch out and do something completely different. I know he didn't write this, but I'm sure he had a lot to do with how the characters looked and things like that, and could have also possibly changed some of the script. But this is definitely a really weird movie for the time period. And I think they were
86.
really trying to do something different, and I give them credit for that, which was pretty great. Let's jump to the wild sex party.
Can I say, several people were murdered in that scene before anybody even made any noise. And it's visited in that opening poem, but this was such a super violent place that nobody really noticed that these maniac killers were murdering people. The one guy on the motorcycle,
He starts fighting
put
him,
out,
gets off
and-
his chain, and
and
starts
then he
kicking
just
his
put
ass.
his chain back on and got on his motorcycle
Yeah.
again.
You almost thought he was going to get his ass kicked for a while.
He had a
Yeah.
chain though.
Yeah,
The
he showed him.
maniac didn't expect that.
But yeah, I like that. There was 7 kills within the first 15 minutes of this movie, which is great.
Great, and then
Yes.
nothing for a half.
I
an hour.
enjoyed that during that time though they did stress that the girl was a virgin,
Oh, they did.
and she's the only one that ends up living from the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And also, one of the girls that isn't a virgin, talking to her other friend that isn't a virgin, makes it sound like you really take your life in your own hands if you aren't on the pill.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Lisa. That's her name.
Wow.
The character's name, Lisa. Yeah, they definitely are promoting birth control. I felt like they're definitely touching base on birth control. And the crazy, I believe the character's name, what was it, Susie?
She's not on the pill or anything.
What I thought was kind of interesting, and hey, don't call me a psychologist or anything,
That this might be the message.
but when they're sitting in the van after the talk about her being a virgin, it cuts back to her while the other kids are fornicating in this park, and she's peeling at her beer bottle, pulling the label off of it. Could be a possibility that you're sexually frustrated. So I thought that, yes. Yeah, I looked into that. I thought that was kind of clever. I'll give a good old Mr. Mangine credit for that one. And it could have been coincidence, but I don't think it was.
That's very clever. That flew right by me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either. I was busy noticing though during the van scene where the monsters were scaring up the Virgin, that they were able to man an axe and almost tip the van over, but they couldn't manage to open the door handle that the cops conveniently could.
Yeah.
Very easily.
They just opened it.
They did.
And they put an axe through the windshield, but they couldn't turn a doorknob.
Yeah. I like the kills during this park scene, specifically Wally and Susie's. Wally is this like tough guy. He's making out with his girlfriend, and then he walks off, I guess, to take a piss or whatever. And he's definitely too drunk to fuck. He just ends up just laying back on the grass, and he gets his fucking face crunched.
I like the one where the guy's getting a beej, and the head gets cut off of the girl that's given to him.
Susie. Yes.
Probably the best kill in the movie.
Yep.
It's classic.
It was a good one.
Susie.
Yes, I was just going to mention that as well. Susie, the blowjob decapitation. I would say if you want to see something a bit funny, you can fast forward this movie to 11 minutes and 10 seconds to see the retarded samurai Cenobite smile back at the gentleman after he cuts his girlfriend's head off. Which is pretty funny. Oh, and talk about bow play, Steve.
Ooh, you know what?
There's some bow play in this.
General ass play.
How's that for ass play?
What's the character, the last guy that dies, he gets strangled. The noose dude throws the noose around his neck, but he walks up to the retarded Cenobite Neon Maniacs, and he's like, "Oh, you guys, what are you dressed up for?" Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Oh, you tough guys?" And he's all, "Here, catch." And he throws the football at him, and the fucking archer maniac shoots it in midair. What is he? Gosh, I can't remember what he says. It's pretty classy.
I don't know how he thought he was going to hurt anybody. He dove at him and got his head caught in a noose in the process.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they tripped him and they fell into the noose. I don't know. It was pretty funny.
He acted like he was going to tackle him, but yeah, he tripped and got his head in a noose.
And then the girl, Lisa, I believe her name is, Natalie's friend, the one that is on the pill, because she's...
Got her shit together.
Yeah. She's the last one to die in that park, I believe. Doesn't she get shot in the back of the head with an arrow while her boyfriend's getting strangled? I don't know. A lot of kills within a few minutes there, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Really gets you started. And then the theme song promptly lulls you to sleep.
Oh. That reminded me of like 70s porn. Or no, let me take that back. It reminded me of like music my parents had sex to, and then I was born 9 months later.
I wrote down feel-good, generic 80s pop.
Hold music.
Constant, with complete disregard to the mood of the movie.
That's right.
Yep.
Although the rest of the music in here, in my defense, because on the last episode I said that the music on this was better than the music on Final Exam. Some of the music gets pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like the part of the score that you hear when the maniacs are walking around or like coming, I like that. It's kind of creepy, kind of eerie. You really don't hear that cheesy ass song till at the beginning and then somewhat at the end when the movie's finally over. The score is a lot better in the Final Exam.
The main theme reminds me of something that would be zoomed in on the Golden Gate Bridge and backing out, panning out slowly, and it's playing that, like, and then a movie, TV show, kind of like Full House would start.
I was just gonna mention that.
Then some homoeroticism will start.
Yeah.
Between the Tanners.
And it's actually a full feature-length film they made of Full House because it was so successful on TV. But after that whole park incident, the cops show up and conveniently open the door and haul Natalie off. And they go back to the police station, and she tells the whole story about the Neon Maniacs and how they killed all of her friends. And
unfortunately for Natalie, though, nobody believes her.
Nobody throughout the whole film.
But the lieutenant he's got some creepy thing going on where he winks.
And he likes to smoke his cigars and just do long stares.
I could have sworn he was in league with whatever was going on.
Good term.
You got something there, Alex. It could be a sequel of some sort.
He also kind of lived in a dump for being like as high paid as I expected he was. I mean, he was always chain smoking cigars, but
yeah,
he lived in like a Motel 6.
Eating bologna by the slide.
Yeah, just sitting on the couch.
Bologna. But after she tells that whole story of her friends being murdered, she conveniently laughed at and goes back home and decides she's going to take a nice little dip in her nice swimming pool.
Oh, and then you see a very classy scene where it starts raining blood into the pool and everything.
That was awesome.
But then it was just a dream. But it was still filmed, so it was cool.
I like that. Yeah, I guess you could say that's all of the psychological distress she had is just a brief dream.
Mm-hmm.
She was very unconcerned throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Besides...
Didn't she go to school the next day?
She did.
The next day.
Yeah.
One thing that I want to bring up is, before we get to the school,
Sure.
The cops are at the scene of the crime. But they've waited like 12 hours and a rainstorm later to check it out. And so they find a lot of gook, as they call it, but they couldn't find any blood or bodies. And that may have been because they waited until like 12 hours later and a rainstorm.
Absolute
monsoon rainstorm.
disregard. The only evidence they had was an eyewitness evidence that said 6 children were murdered.
And they were definitely not children.
Yeah, I don't know if the cops just thought that they were just playing a good old trick on Natalie.
They had to finish grab-assing and playing
Yeah.
penis butt before they made their way to the scene to check it out.
Shoddy police work.
Yes. Like I'm leaning more towards the penis butt. The swim scene. That's where you see the creepy caveman maniac.
He's a peeper.
Yes, I think that's where the setup payoff starts with the water.
Absolutely.
He's hiding in the bush and he's going to snag her, and she jumps in the water and he just kind of steps back and then growls.
Distressed.
Yeah, he's pissed off. Because most of the time, like, wouldn't the killer just jump in the water or like stab her? But you get the idea that weird thing doesn't want to go in the water.
He doesn't like it.
Yeah, but
So the girl at school.
yes.
Did you have something you want to say about that bit?
Yeah, she goes to school the next day after all these murders, and she seems completely fine.
Yeah. I enjoy the part where there's a girl that shows up and is like, "Where's my brother?"
Oh.
And then she's like, "He's dead." And then
That was hands down the worst acting in the movie.
And then the girl, she tries to get a piece of her action, and the guy Steven shows up, and he gets in between them. And when the girl that isn't Natalie, who's looking for her brother, tries to manhandle Natalie, but finds out she can't overpower Steven, she calls him a faggot.
Oh yeah.
That part was great.
I noticed that. Like, I swear, I was watching this last night, and I swear I heard that, but I completely disregarded it because I was like, no, they didn't say that. Did she say that? I don't know. Like, I didn't quite catch it, but now that you mention it, it's like I'm watching it now. Yeah, she called him a faggot.
She's got to keep face with her classmates. If you can't beat anybody down in the lunchroom, you got to do something.
Yeah. And so Natalie nearly gets a beat down, and then she gets sent home from school and suspended.
Well, she's a distraction.
But she definitely gets hassled by the parents.
Yeah,
and
everybody keeps calling her. Oh, and I love the part where they're like, "Where's my child?" And she's like, "I don't know." And she likes talking like that, like all ridiculous. That is some of the worst acting.
Natalie actually meets up with the third character, Paula, a few times at the school. Now, before we leave the school.
Connoisseur of fine hats.
Yes, and monsters.
All kinds of masks.
And movie making.
Yes, Corey Feldman,
yes.
from Friday the 13th.
I loved her character and what she was into. I didn't like the way, just the fact that she wore the sideways cap.
The bill was huge.
A huge billed hat just to verify that she's 12 or whatever.
Yeah, well, she looked like...
was clearly older.
Take my hat, kid.
And the odd thing is, she has kind of short hair, and I don't know if this is intentional, but you can kind of have a hard time determining whether she's a boy or girl. Eventually, you know she's a girl.
She's friends with a lot of kids that would say she's not very popular. Also,
the gender's kind of hidden there, and I think it's intentional. But Paula, she's trying to get in touch with Natalie because she's one of the only ones that believes there really are monsters and that she's right. And
That's because she's the kid.
A killer.
She's the kid from school that believes those. What are those magazines called at the checkout stand?
Tabloids.
Inquire.
She reads those crazy like Inquirer ones, and she's the kid because there's always one of these kids.
Did you guys know the Wolfman's real?
I work with a guy like
Bat
that.
Boy.
His name is Mitch O'Donnell. He was that kid, I'm sure.
Terrified of Bat Boy.
You just know they're real and you know they're out there.
But Paula, yeah, she's a very interesting character. She's one of the two people that are on Natalie's side and believe her. The other one would be Steven.
And that, if I can hop in here,
Go for it.
reminds me that everyone thinks that Natalie's crazy, but not the delivery boy of the groceries, Steven. He's the same guy that was referred to as a fag. He makes a power play here to show you that he's not. Let me demonstrate. The girl is being pegged as a loon. What does a guy do when he wants this girl to talk to her, but she's out of his league, as his friend says? He believes her.
Crazy story.
He says, I agree with you, and that way she'll possibly date him. That is a classic Trevor Turpin move.
I don't know about that. I'd probably buy the groceries, but I don't know if I'd say I believe her.
Well, he just delivered him and put him away for her.
Oh, yeah.
He was buying time.
He didn't buy him? Maybe he did buy him.
Well, didn't he work at the grocery
Maybe he gets a
shop?
fucking sweet discount.
It's his dad's shop.
You know, I've noticed, me and Alex were this was one of the few times we talked during this movie.
Yeah.
We noticed that on this movie, and I noticed on House, there's some not the show with the cranky doctor, but the one with the sequel that's called The Second Story.
Oh.
There seemed to be a point of time in the 80s, I guess, where people delivered, and didn't this happen on Dead Alive also, when people just showed up and delivered you their groceries?
Yeah.
What a service.
Yeah, what the hell happened with that? That'd be great.
That does not happen here, in any case.
I like that. So.
Yeah, I want my groceries delivered to my door. Back to Paula here.
Yeah.
After being denied by Natalie, she kind of goes on her own little voyage to try and solve what these Neon Maniacs are and where they're at. And while she's filming her movie with her friends that all seem to be wearing the same clothes and hat, she runs across the green stuff.
We'll call it gook.
The gook.
Enthralled by the gook.
She likes the gook.
She wants the gook.
She wants the gook.
She could see her shudder, man. Her eyes roll back in her head.
Her lips trembling.
Quivers like a great boiled egg.
But anyway, she follows this green slime, and it leads her to this metal door with a bunch of fucking dead birds everywhere.
Which is conveniently under the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's a lot of dead pigeons, too.
Yeah.
As you said.
Yeah, dead birds, dead pigeons. So, do the Neon Maniacs eat the birds? Is that their source of nutrition? Or do they just kill them for fun?
In some
Is
cultures...
that bow play?
It could be bow play. I think in some cultures, though, this is a little known fact, but in some cultures, to show your dominance, you kill pigeons and leave them out in front of your house.
I like turtles.
That is all.
It's up to your interpretation, though, because that is not revisited ever in the movie.
Yeah, they're conveniently cleaned up later on. Maybe the homeless got hungry. I'd imagine there's a lot of homeless people around those parts. Which, could the Neon Maniacs be homeless people, and we just don't know?
They have all the markings of a homeless person. Random assortment of gear. Normally people on a team, unless you are a G.I. Joe, have the same uniform and the same weapons. This is a very unoppressive group of vigilantes.
Yes.
Motley Crew akin to the Garbage Pail Kids. Or
G.I. Joes.
There's the Village People.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. How did I not think of that? The
There's
Village.
an army man. Well, a
There's
doctor.
you mentioned the Indian, right?
I didn't.
Oh, there is. There
is an Indian in here. Yeah, you just
because they refer to him as an Indian.
Probably the main one.
He just holds a tomahawk, but they call him an Indian. I don't.
His face does not look like an Indian.
No, he looks like
he is a white man.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I'm not sure. They got a doctor.
Very considerate doctor.
Yeah, he was
willing
nice.
to put his patients under before he tears their heart out.
Yeah,
I thought.
What a gentleman. But back to Paula here and her little find with these dead birds. She's greeted / startled by police officers. And the police officer basically says, get the hell out of here. There's supposedly kids missing, blah, blah, blah. You can't be around here. What are you doing here? So she ends up leaving, and funny thing, there's the nice police officer. He may or may have not been in police academy that makes the sound effects.
Uh-huh.
What's that guy's name? Very clever sound effects, dude. But he's riding the little kid bike, and
Aha!
she just completely verbally destroys that cop.
I thought that was Wesley Snipes.
Oh, it could be.
But he was way bigger than Wesley Snipes.
Pre-Blade. Mm-hmm. She goes home.
Can I make a comment about the bike before we go any further?
I would love for you to make a comment. Let's hear this.
Michael Winslow.
Girl-
Sorry, go on.
Okay.
Oh. Ooh, yes, Michael Winslow.
Girl's toting around this bike, and I noticed this on the gook scene. Notice
Yeah, it is San Francisco.
they call it gook. It's ridiculous. I don't know how to spell gook, so my notes look weird. But I noticed this on the gook scene. The girl's bike, it's got the pad on the rail that goes across in case she whacks her face. So, you know what I mean? Like the Velcro pad on the handlebars. Is this girl's mom think she's retarded or something?
It's a possibility.
Because she dresses her like a retard. She has hats that the bills are way too long. And she has a bike that has that pad.
She seems a
I
little
took
slow.
that off in the first grade.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You get your ass kicked with one of those pads.
Oh, you
on.
get your ass kicked. But you get the sense that she is a little slow or not all there. And
Based on the fact that she's willing to believe someone that saw a
Exactly.
bunch of
She
Neon
agrees with
Maniacs.
Natalie.
yeah, you get that idea that she's not all there. So yeah, she could definitely. Were there training wheels on the bike? There possibly could have been. I don't know if it's.
I didn't see that far down, but
Anyways, Paula gets sent back, gets kicked out of the place by the cops. She goes back home, and I guess her parents are going out on a date or something, or leaving the house, and her parents say, you need to go to bed, be in bed by this time, and that's her cue to sneak back out and go back. And this is where she encounters the Neon Maniacs.
She's very brave. She gets some great footage of the Maniacs, or what ought to be great footage.
Yeah.
which happens to be blurred and ruined.
Now, this could fall back into the whole retard thing. Maybe she didn't press the button, the record button, I don't know.
She may or may not have, or she's
it's
using
an
it.
out of focus picture of the moon is all she's
Yeah,
got.
and I was thinking it could be because she's using such dinosaur technology that runs by recording straight to VHS tape in the pouring, like torrential downpour rain.
Yes, and that brings us to the second payoff here with the water. That's where she starts seeing that the water is their weakness.
She learns at the same time as the audience, and the same time as the Neon Maniacs, that water is no good for them because they don't know that, and they start stabbing at it, trying to fight.
Slips and falls in a puddle.
Yeah, he really messes up that face.
Yeah, he's just like wobbling back and forth in this puddle, like freaking out. And the other, you're right, Steve. The other Neon Maniacs are just swinging at nothing.
Yeah, they start trying to punch it, and the one's trying to stab the water droplets. Like, apparently they didn't know this before because it doesn't rain in San Francisco.
But Paula nearly loses her life before the cops come again, and this time the cops are the ones that pay
The price.
the price.
The way I remember it, Paula goes home and has a fantastic night's sleep.
She does.
Everybody does. They are not nearly concerned enough. There are lots of murders going on.
That is true. It's definitely put on the back burner multiple times, especially, and I'm going to jump a little ahead here, but at the end of the movie where these maniacs are chasing them and Steven and Natalie decide to fornicate on the floor in one of the classrooms.
Yep.
But after that second weakness is shown, we get to touch base now on the subway scene.
Mm-hmm. And what a subway scene it was.
Yes. This starts with Steven and Natalie. Steven actually asked Natalie on a date when he dropped the groceries off.
And she couldn't deny him. He was putting them away for her.
Yeah. And he doesn't have a car, so
they had to take public transportation.
No yelling on the bus!
He makes a point that it's very good for the environment, so he doesn't look like a loser that can't drive. How did he get the groceries to her house? I don't remember watching that,
He
but
had somebody mentioned the van breaking down.
oh yeah,
oh yes,
Okay.
oh yeah. I forgot
everybody
about
drives
that.
a van in these movies.
They do. What happened to his dog?
Oh, the dog was...
I'm all about dogs in scary movies and how they come and save the day.
Yeah.
I
like
am
Muffin.
certain he dropped from the script. Muffin?
Do you remember Muffin off of
Oh, yeah,
Friday the
Friday
13th, Part
yeah.
2? Everybody's dead, but god damn it, I'm happy that Muffin lived because she shows up at the very end.
Oh, I love that. How it's like thrilling and kind of scary and this build up, and then the door
someone's
opens.
knocking on the door. It's Muffin.
Muffin.
It's a little Shih Tzu.
Yeah, and that the fucking score that's playing as Muffin appears with the little bows in its hair.
Stupid haircut.
All right, well, Steve.
So yeah, we got a good scene on there in the public transportation, and we have one of the world's worst employees.
The turnstile.
Yes, this guy gives such little shit.
Regard?
Yeah, there's such little regard for people not paying to ride the subway because the monsters just start jumping over it. And so at this point, they're just freaks jumping over it, which you see these guys, and they're probably going to the park to fight each other with foam-like weapons. So you could easily think I could probably kick their ass, so you need to tell them to pay. Until
the samurai's gonna chop through the turnstile because it won't turn for him.
I wanted to actually see that.
He's stuck, though. He doesn't know how to get through. And then some magic is afoot when it gets shocked and starts working starts turnstiling.
It's like spinning like crazy.
James Harden defense.
I wanted to see the samurai just chop that thing.
I don't think he could do
Me
it.
too.
Oh, dude,
That samurai sword's really weak.
That weird electric mutant just shocked it and it started flipping around.
Yeah, that employee is a bitch.
He just sits there. He doesn't even make a disgruntled face.
Did not react.
He's just like...
They are kind of monstery, but they're not like overwhelmingly terrifying. And when you're watching it and you know that their weakness is water, you're definitely not scared. And if you were scared of this movie, you're completely... It's turned into a comedy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is like finding out that there's a bully that also like suffers from severe case of anemia, and you're afraid to like get in his face because you could punch him and he would probably die from a bloody nose.
I don't have to worry about that guy anymore because I just happen to have an unlimited supply of the thing that will destroy them immediately.
I know. And the funny thing is they live under a bridge and there's water nearby. But yeah, I guess you could say it's kind of like a bully being a hemophiliac or something.
Yes.
It's pretty ridiculous. But the subway scene, once they're down in the subway, she notices feathers, which is funny. She goes, "Did you see?" From a distance, she sees the Indian, and she goes, I just saw feathers.
When they saw no one before
Yes.
that.
Absolutely
They make it a
ridiculous.
point. They make sure you know there's nobody there by saying, we're a little too alone.
That was the first half of the sentence.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, they definitely did say that, huh? And that was like his cue to try to get some action, but definitely did not
Waiting
fucking
for the
work
bus.
for him.
He disregarded her
Train.
sight of the feathers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, his plan has already worked. He's already agreed, and they're already going on a date, so he doesn't need to keep agreeing with her anymore.
Yeah.
He might even feel confident enough to pull away from the kiss. She
Oh, yeah!
leans in.
They go for that kiss, and that's risky for a first kiss, I think. She goes in for the kiss, and he pulls away and then goes back for it. Bold move.
Bold move.
See if it pays off. Spoiler alert. It does.
Oh, yeah.
They get into the subway, and the Neon Maniacs get into the subway as well. They can't see him outside, so they're assuming they get in there. And all of a sudden, they start chasing them through the subway. And the creepy beast maniac is just so ridiculous.
one
He looks
second.
like he's like trying to grab something in the air when he's walking.
Can you finish telling me about the subway scene, but can you do it to this? Go ahead.
So they're running around, being chased. Steven conveniently ties the door shut,
Yeah, with some sort of belt.
so they can't get through. And
And he flips him off for some reason.
Yeah.
Because do you know what I would like to do to somebody that is just behind glass? Flip him off.
yeah, that's
They've
the way.
just murdered a dozen people.
Now, before we leave this scene, the subway scene, I just want to know, the Neon Maniacs are just after Natalie.
Yes.
Why? Is she related to the fisherman?
I was certain that was going to be explained because the cops mentioned at some scene during, he says, "Oh, so you think she is The Connection and The Cop with the Mustache Nods. Never revisited.
Yeah. So,
Spoiler alert.
I mean, I don't know if they killed other people in the process. The Neon Maniacs, like while they're just going through the park and walking around the city or whatever. But it seemed to me that they didn't kill the employee in the subway station, but they're definitely trying to get to Natalie.
That's a good point, because both the subway station employee and Natalie at this point are virgins. So I wonder what makes them discriminate against him.
They had a beef for her, which
They
I cannot explain.
Definitely had a beef for her.
Now let's jump into the bus scene here, Steve. I'm going to leave this one up to you.
There's a scene 50 minutes in, I'm pretty sure it's 50 minutes exactly, where they have eluded the Neon Maniacs only to take more transportation, public transportation. So they're getting on the bus, and it costs. I've never ridden on a bus that wasn't going to school, but from what I understand, you can pay change and they'll let you ride the bus. Well, they go to get on the bus, and Steven, he pays his 30 cents or whatever. You can see a handful of dimes or something that he's got. However, he expects Natalie to cover her own bit, and then he ends up paying for her. He's like, "You got the change?" "Oh, well." Pays for her. So they start driving down the road. They're probably doing like 35 at least. And suddenly they're sitting by an open window, and a Neon Maniac arm reaches in and grabs them, which leads to a pretty classy scene, because he shuts the window really hard.
But
Exactly. Cuts off the arm. Smoke starts coming out of it. And then the arm starts fighting him again. It's a severed arm fighting him, which leads to a classy part where he throws the arm out the window, only to have the bus driver say, "There's no smoking allowed on the bus."
And this leads to the Battle of the Bands. And let's touch base on the bands here.
Yep.
I felt there was only 2 bands battling.
Absolutely there were. Again, in utter disregard by the only 3 people who know what's going on. Sure, nobody will believe them. Their only plan is to get real into the Battle of the Bands.
Yep.
And bring a couple squirt guns to the show.
Yes. The first band, Steven's band. What band could you pull out of your ass and say you could relate? I know there's some
Tommy Two-Tone meets Foreigner.
But less badass. I just want to say, I'm sitting here, at this point I'm kind of on Steven's side because he's getting chased around by Neon Maniacs. And we have the same name, so we have a bond.
James Bond.
Thicker than blood. And then suddenly Dick Cheese starts fucking singing about a baby lying, and all I could think is that the Steel Panther looking band waiting in the wing is going to make them look really gay once they start playing.
They didn't announce the winners, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Band number 2 was definite. It was a landslide.
Yeah,
They
it
won.
was like Great White meets Steel Panther.
Yeah, they were badass.
And they had their lyrics could have used some work, and the singer could have used to play as Les Paul, but they still were cooler because they didn't wear skinny ties.
It was like Rat versus Asia.
Or like Rat versus an electrical air supply. Because
Barely. Who brings a saxophone to the Battle of the Bands?
I don't know, man. I don't even know anybody that's in a band that's under 35 that would even dare to bust out music like that. And this guy... Never mind.
I like this scene. It's definitely a little longer than it should be.
It's way longer. Yeah. They're definitely trying to hit the hour and a half on this movie, because they do a Rocktober Blood special, and they play 3 or 4 full-ass songs.
Yeah. This is where my favorite Neon Maniac is introduced.
The Indian?
Starring Gary Busey as the army guy.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I was thinking Gary Busey, too, off of Black Sheep.
I can go to your mama's and start a small fire in her panties.
Yeah.
I got him on Laserdisc.
He walks in and he shoots up the school.
Scene is at 1 hour, 13 minutes. School shooting, baby, with a machine gun.
A machine gun fucking nobody dies.
Yeah, nobody's dead on the floor.
No blood.
And then he pulls out a knife and just sits at the door. Throughout the band playing, I noticed the probably the most attractive girl in this film by herself drinking a beer in the school gymnasium. And then she starts dancing with
She tries
the
to dance with all
Cenobite.
these, yeah, she tries to dance with all these creeps, and she doesn't like that weird faces don't want to dance with her.
Yeah, see, that's really odd. Like she's attractive girl. She's probably drunk.
Oh yeah.
But that guy, one of the guys, some random dude in the audience, like, comes up and grabs her beer from her, and she tries to dance with 2 of the Neon Maniacs. There are 8 men around her, and she chooses the 2 Neon Maniacs to try to dance to, and she ends up dancing with the Noose one, the one that looks like Chatter from Hellraiser.
Yeah, what world do we live in where they sell beer at a school function?
Yes.
This was 86. This wasn't like 19 pre-prohibition.
Yeah.
And 3, what the fuck was there? How were they going to tell the mutants from all the people dressed up at the dance?
Yeah, why was there a costume party? Was it Halloween? Because I don't think so.
I saw a pumpkin in Paula's kitchen.
Which is, yeah, I did notice that as well. Because it didn't seem cold outside. Because I remember him, like, running around outside.
It was San Francisco.
That's true, but like Northern California still kind of. Well, it's not chilly.
Nothing seemed Halloween-like, though. I didn't think.
I don't know.
It didn't seem Halloween at
It
all.
seemed
but
like
there was
let's
a lot
just
of dressing
wear
up.
costumes to here so that the Neon Maniacs don't scare everybody as soon as they walk. Even though one dickhead's gonna walk in and start shooting a gun.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, Gary Busey. Were the squirt guns intentional?
What do you mean?
Like, they brought the squirt
They
guns there
purposely
to
brought
do
the
it.
squirt guns.
Why the fuck did they buy the cheapest ones they could buy that they could possibly find?
Have you ever priced out a squirt gun?
Oh.
They get spendy.
Super Soaker
Hey,
3000. God, that
but
was
when it's
amazing.
October, Super Soakers are on sale, my friend.
Paula was having no luck with that tiny little $1.50 contraption she had.
Yeah. That flaccid ass mist of water that was blowing out of that thing.
They spent a lot of time screaming to each other during Steven's song.
In
his
fact-
very mellow song.
They even
Yes.
spend a time. Actually, once it's not working, they need to interrupt him during his singing so he could tell him what to do.
It took him about a minute before he passed his squirt gun to Natalie so she could try and do some damage.
I did enjoy that there was like a hallway motorcycling with some chains. Weren't they dragging somebody with the chains? It reminded me of
yeah.
very class of Nuke 'Em High.
Oh, yeah. You don't see the guy die, but he definitely drags him throughout the hall, and I'm sure he just smashed the shit out of him, killed him. That biker dude is pretty tough. I can't tell you what part of the movie he's in, but I remember there's just this, like, super close-up of the biker's face. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember that? The super close-up of the biker's face, and he's just, like making weird-ass faces and stuff. I don't know. You'll have to check it out.
Me.
It was kind of funny.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Class of Nuke 'Em High?
No.
Yes.
Trevor, do you think that in a battle in a school hallway between the Neon Maniacs and the Cretans, who wins?
The Cretans.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
The Neon Maniacs are pussies.
Yeah. They killed the majority of the Neon Maniacs in the school, the fire hoses that are in the school.
Couldn't they have just set off the fire alarm?
Oh. See, now
Teasing
that's...
your ass.
Which Fortune 500 company wants you on their team, Steve? See, that's genius.
I'm available.
The sprinklers in the high
Yeah.
school.
I don't know. Maybe they don't have them. That's why they had that convenient fucking 50-foot long hose on the side of the wall there.
Did
It
anybody
turns on to about 10% of its
Yeah.
capacity on the steering.
Yeah.
Did anybody else think that it was a little bit of a dumb move when he set it down and decided to start
Yes.
turning up? I thought this thing's gonna go crazy.
It's a
'cause-
Yeah, it's
fire
like-
hose.
yeah, I've seen a video where you can't. They take. There's a reason. There's a few firefighters holding that hose.
You get sprayed by a fire hose, it draws blood.
When? Because
Yes.
it goes all crazy.
Yeah.
Holding on to that thing is a man's job.
The only thing I could compare a turned on to full blast, not being manned fire hose to would be Chris Ledoux on stage. Haywire. Haywire. I saw it on the back of someone's t-shirt once. Chris Ledoux on stage. Haywire.
Paula kills... How many Neon Maniacs does she kill? 2 or 3? She blasts one of them with a hose. I don't know where she got the hose in the auditorium on the stage, but she just starts spraying the maniacs and hits one of them in the head, and his head just blows right off.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the Indian.
We brought these
Was it the
squirt
Indian?
guns because we're going to get hot.
She got the Indian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She got one in her house, too.
Oh, yeah.
Came
yeah.
to get her.
And then she just mutilates Gary Busey, the army maniac.
Mm-hmm.
But, hey, we're definitely not giving Maniac Doctor credit here.
Oh, yeah. He's a gentleman.
That was awesome.
You want to tell us about it, Alex?
He found it necessary to sneak up on the security guard, put him out with ether, and then start removing vital organs. He was fascinated with the heart. The next guy, he just fucking slit his
Hold on.
throat.
Can I stop you really fast?
Sure.
Yes, sir? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? Probably not. No, but I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
Please proceed.
What kind of a monster killer puts the guy out before he performs some painful surgery?
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He also slit a dude's throat.
Yeah, the next
He
dude,
made up for it.
right up the side.
He could have... See, and that was a better position to ether. To, like, put the guy out. Like, he's behind the guy. Like, why wouldn't you, like, ether him and then...
He spent a lot of time sneaking up on him.
Yeah,
He had the bottle of clearly labeled ether.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, just to be sure.
Yeah.
You don't want to think he's using, like, nail polish or remover or...
Chloroform.
Yeah.
But in the midst of this chaos and danger, Natalie finally loses her virginity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
On the floor.
They find it appropriate to... Well, there's chaos going on, so let's just give it a couple pumps.
Again, complete disregard. They forget what's going on around them, and they have a very romantic time.
Yeah, like while they're bumping uglies, that fucking Cenobite dude's running around banging on lockers with his noose. He's hobbling around. Did he? Was his ankle always broke, like from the beginning of the film, or did he like step in a puddle?
He can't sneak around very well.
Yeah.
One of your legs is crooked.
He just stepped in a puddle.
I thought he was
bummed ankle.
Yeah.
Derek Rose.
He was doing the Kevin McHale. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
So, thoughts on the score? We sort of touched on it.
The intro to Neon Maniacs. Like if you look up the score online, the first little jingle it plays reminds me of like late 70s, early 80s, Lay Me Down and Caress My Body music. Aside from that, the rest of the score, I liked it. It was 80s, but it fit. It was decent.
Well, then let me ask you, on a scale from Final Exam to Purple Rain, Purple Rain being really high up there, because, you know, it's Prince
Purple
starring
Rain.
and Prince singing about Prince. Where would you put the score?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. It wasn't super catchy, but it was creepy. So I'd maybe a 3 out of
3 Amigos, or
like a 3 out of maybe 10. I don't know. What are you rating this? I mean, it wasn't catchy. It wasn't like Halloween where you're gonna hum the Halloween theme and see it once and remember it forever. But it was still creepy. It still fit.
I would probably rate it on the on a scale of those movies, probably somewhere around, is it Halloween 4 or 5, where they sort of got the point, but they're playing it with a wacky tone on the keyboard, like beam boom boom beam, instead of like serious. It sounds like a fucking joke.
Yeah,
I would rate it probably Halloween 5 on a scale of Final Exam to Purple Rain.
Gotcha. Well, I feel like an asshole because I just realized
You gave it a
how you
3.
wanted me to rate it.
Yeah, you gave it a 3.
Yeah. Well, let's take that
The
back.
Three's Company.
Maybe 3 Amigos.
Three's Company
man.
has a great soundtrack.
No. I don't know. I'm gonna come back to that. That's something I got to think about.
What about thoughts on the actual Maniacs' look and demeanor?
Off the bat, you're like, God, these guys are badasses. Like,
I appreciate the fact that my beef with the last movie was the killer was so lame.
yeah,
But on this one, they do have professional pride. They know what they want.
they're masters at their craft.
Yes, they are.
Over the top.
Yeah, they go to extremes to make sure that you know who they are, and they keep accurate with what their weapon is. Samurai is not fighting with the boomerang, so on.
Yeah.
Alex?
I'll go on record saying those are some of the best villains as a group I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I wanted to clap for them, really. I love the camaraderie. Each guy's got his thing, and they stick to that thing.
And they don't bleed over. There's not one guy that's kind of like this other guy.
Yeah.
Not just any random killing. Not everybody's got a knife or a machine gun, although some of them do.
Some of them have better weapons than others,
Yeah.
but they don't rub it into each other. They know that they got their own thing.
Yeah, and they all have their own parts in the movie. One thing that kind of bugged me a bit about it, but it's not bad, is that you don't see them all in action. It's kind of spread out throughout the whole movie, so they all have their own little part. Mm-hmm. It would be cool to like see all of them at once a couple times through the movie, just doing nasty shit to these people.
I was hoping a massacre during that dance, one after another of each of those.
They could have run a train on that dance.
Oh, they could have, yeah. One thing I liked, especially if you compare it to the last review we did, with that killer being so boring, the two things they have in common, or the one thing they have in common, is that there's not a real backstory to these killers. Mm-hmm. You don't know what the Neon Maniacs are, how they became a master of their trade, but they're still interesting because of their weapons choice, because of how they're dressed up, because they have makeup on. They don't look like some jackass walking around. Jackass. So even though there isn't a backstory, I like them. They were interesting. They entertain me.
I agree. So I will say you'll like this movie if you like guys picking up on girls with dogs named Dog, referring to people you don't like as pasta breath.
Pretty quick. Pasta breath.
Oh, yeah.
Dream sequences where it rains blood in a pool. And seeing San Francisco's finest riding a little girl's bike and trying to solve a string of pigeon murders. You remember that?
He he went to grab his gun while she rode away, then looked like he thought better of it and chuckled to himself.
Yeah, you might not want to shoot the girl running away. Just go back to studying the pigeons.
I got a question. Mm-hmm. How many Neon Maniacs survived? Enough for a sequel?
Did it? There were very few that died, right?
Absolutely enough for a sequel.
I think that
5 to 7.
Yes.
I think that should probably just go into the ending. What do you guys think about the ending?
So
you want to set it up, Trevor?
Yeah. As the Battle of the Bands ends before we can come to the winner, which is obviously the second band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The kids talk these cops into the story. The cops finally fall to the fact that there may be these Neon Maniacs that are deathly afraid of water, and so they go to the Golden Gate Bridge. Detective that likes his cigars calls the mayor. He pulls the phone up and says, "Get me the mayor." And so he definitely means business at that point. They go down to the bridge and they prop the door open. They go in there. They take fire hoses and they see nothing. And so these kids look like giant assholes once again. Plot twist. They leave. The kids get sent home, probably to go fornicate some more. Or
play their Nintendo.
Their Atari.
Hanging out, playing Nintendo.
But anyways, the detective guy goes back, and he sees a mysterious light inside the ambulance. And he decides to open it up, and it looks like some fourth dimension, like, portal. I mean, you don't see in it, but you see all this light shooting out of it. Fog or whatever, and the one Neon Maniac, like the little, what is that thing?
Crocodile Cyclops?
Yeah, Cyclops crocodile dude gives him a good old...
That's been left behind to guard the fort, because
yes.
You're an idiot if you take everybody.
He hooks the cop in, pulls him in, and case closed.
Done, son.
Yeah. Definitely Cenobites survived. I think they only killed half of them. I keep calling them Cenobites. They're retarded Cenobites, Neon Maniacs. They remind me of Cenobites so much. I don't know why, but anyways, I think only half of them died. So there was a handful of them left. The Hangman, he was just pounding on the lockers and got away. So I know he didn't die, but they could definitely. Joseph definitely wanted to make a sequel to this and never did. Poor bastard, 73 could probably still do it.
String went along.
Yeah.
Real quick, there was a band of villains. Did you guys have your favorite villain out of that motley crew?
Oh.
I liked the guy that's on the cover. I thought he was cool, if not a little bit dumb. Isn't he the one that fell in the puddle at the beginning?
Yeah.
But he looked cool because he looked kind of like the Haunted Mask. And that Goosebump book was pretty sweet.
It's a tie for me between the soldier starring Gary Busey.
Busey of the bunch.
And the gimp-legged hangman that just hobbled around and still seemed to hang people.
Hangman is totally my favorite.
Yeah.
What an original way.
Yeah.
Just lasso him and then hang him.
Yeah, just they all have random weapons.
The samurai.
Yeah, like dude has a crossbow, and he's fucking damn good at it. And he looks like a witch or something. Like I don't know his.
You know, I thought that I saw the mask from Halloween 3 somewhere in the crowd, and maybe it was just I caught a glance of that person, but it looked like one of those masks.
Yeah.
You know, watching this movie has made me decide that the Maniacs were well within their rights to kill the types of people that think it's okay to hang out with their friends and then make you watch them fondle their girlfriend, make out a bunch, and get a beej. I think that Joseph Mangine wanted that point to come across.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And the, I don't know, there's not homoerotic themes in this, but
imagine
there's
if there
definitely,
were.
like, yeah, just, but there's definitely tons of sexual scenes and also just weird little tidbits like the fag quote, name calling, and also the Pat Paula. And when I say Pat, I mean you kind of you jump into the middle.
It's Pat. I see.
You jump in the middle of the film. You're not quite sure if she's a boy or girl. So I don't know. I think he put some clever things in this to make it a lot more interesting. This film was not hard to get through. I've seen it twice, and I don't know if I'll watch it again. Maybe, but it was definitely a lot easier to get through versus Final Exam.
Yes, Alex?
There's one thing we haven't touched on yet. That is product placement. The only beer consumed during this movie. Did anybody notice? It's Heineken. Cases of Heineken.
You know what? Now that you mentioned that, yeah, I was thinking about Heineken earlier, and then when he said that, I just for some reason started thinking about Coors Light because of It's Always Sunny. But no, I definitely remember seeing the Heineken because they show the case. He goes and gets the case
and birth control
and holds it out.
That's right. $45 million for James Bond to be drinking a Heineken in that last James Bond movie.
Are you saying that's where this
Wow,
movie
no
got
way.
the $1.5 million
budget? What do you think they paid for the product placement in this film?
$1.5 million. That's how it got a budget. We will make this shitty movie if you give us money, and we will drink Heineken in it.
Overall, this film was watchable. Now we'll jump into the rating here. I think we've touched base in the film enough. Any other funny little tidbits you guys want to throw in? I think I'm about done.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Good.
The rating system is based on dumpsters, so one dumpster being an acceptable watch because you always need at least one dumpster. 5 dumpsters and all-out dumpster fire.
Yeah,
Where would you rate this movie, Alex?
I swung back and forth. I was very drawn in at the beginning. I considered giving it a 1 dumpster.
Ooh,
it turned into a children's movie for me. I loved watching the villains, though. Like I said, between a 1 and a 3, I ended up factoring the ending in, which severely disappointed me. I'll give it 2.5 dumpsters.
Nice.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. I'm right around that. I'm gonna give it a 3. It was definitely an easy watch. It wasn't difficult to get through. I give Joseph Mangine, or whatever you want to call him, props for being very creative and jumping outside of the box. It's definitely a lot different than movies of this time, and you can tell that they did want to try something different. The villains are fun. They're entertaining to watch. The fact that they are... their one Achilles heel is water is kind of goofy, especially where they reside under a bridge where there's water. It's kind of funky.
It's definitely zany.
But the story is a lot better, even though the ending was kind of odd. Some parts dragged, but it was entertaining. The killers were definitely interesting, so I'm sticking with a 3.
I think if I had to give it a dumpster, it would be exactly 3.032 dumpsters. And that is because there wasn't enough throwing around of the goo. They never really explained where the goo came from. Right?
Yes.
Was that like their waste? Like, they piss shit?
Maybe it's their blood. Maybe it's their semen. Maybe it's some other random goo.
Virtually no gore, though.
The mid-coitus monster.
Good point. That's a very good point.
Doesn't the cover promise... well, it says a lot of gooey mayhem. I read that as gory.
And there's still not a lot of gooey mayhem, but anyways...
There's not a lot.
No, like, the gore... There's not a lot of gore in this. The kills are not super creative, but they're still interesting. Some of them are quick kills, so they're not well planned out. But yeah, there's hardly any gore. There's hardly any blood.
Could have been more.
Yeah.
Much more.
Yeah, so...
I would have liked to see a scene where the monsters are bonding. Maybe a little bit of monster grab-assing. That would have moved it up.
Monster grab-assing. Well, that's the rate. I guess we're all around a 3 on average. I guess we could say a little below
I'm
a 3.
Mathematician, but
yeah, a little below a 3.
Did you get 2.5? Ooh,
which that's not a bad rating. It's a good watch. I would recommend it to a horror fan, at least watching it once. Somebody that's really not a genre geek of horror, I would say I would say you could probably give it a watch. I mean, I wouldn't have you rush out and go try to buy it or anything, but it's still a cool little movie to watch on Halloween or around that time.
It's also streaming on YouTube currently.
Yes.
For free.
Yeah, I had to watch this on YouTube last night because I let you borrow this, and the quality was just shit.
The last time I saw this movie was in 2011 when I was making pumpkin seeds, so it kind of reminded me this time. And it's weird because, like, you know, pumpkin seeds are gooey from there, and so this movie went pretty well with it.
Ah, brought you back.
Yeah, because I was rinsing them off, and they're all gooey.
Well, that's the recap on the review. Oh, we also have a question here that we wanted to choose and maybe get some answers here. Thomas O'Connor sent us a tweet. His handle's @TomTypesWords. He's got a very interesting question here, Steve. He says, why didn't this thing have like millions of sequels and a line of collectible dolls, or at least a DVD?
Well, we did talk about how there could be a sequel. That would be pretty sweet.
That would be pretty sweet, and it was definitely set up to, or had the ability to have a sequel. It's definitely had the opportunity there. The DVD, I know that for the longest time there was not one. It was primarily on VHS. I actually have a copy of the DVD. I think it was released by Anchor Bay eventually, and they do a really good job at actually getting movies out on DVD that I've only seen VHS time, but I'm not sure when I purchased this. It was probably about 5 years ago. I think Anchor Bay put out this Neon Maniacs DVD back in 2003. It's kind of hard to find. You can find them on eBay and stuff like that. Yeah, it's kind of expensive.
I was looking at them.
Yeah, but
I think it would be pretty cool as like some NECA figures. Yeah,
that blows my mind that they didn't do action figures and things like that. I think one of my favorite toys back when I was younger was the Toxie toys. Like that was not, I don't know, kind of like a horror comedy kick trauma film, but it was turned into almost like a kid's... I know they had a cartoon they turned into like a kid's show and then had action figures and things. They could have definitely had some figurines come out. I think that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely send us questions. Shoot us funny comments. Anything you want. Twitter handles Trevor Turpin, @TrevorTurpin.
@Steve Norman.
And you can also send it over @B-Movie Trash Talk, and we'll make sure that we include the Q&As on the show and go over them. But we will be reviewing another film here shortly. There are a few we are juggling between. We're going to choose a few, put them up on Twitter, and the most requests we get, we'll definitely go with that one. Hopefully we get some more questions and funny things to go over. That is Blood, Guts, and B-Movie Trash Talk. I'm your host, Trevor, and co-host here, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you can meet good old Alex Dew.
Thanks for having me.
He's my next door neighbor.
The wacky